In this video, we're going to go through how to set specific permissions policies for a user group. You may have already seen the global permissions video, and that is going through setting the global permissions of a user group. So giving a user group permission to see all library content or all user groups or all exams, whereas specific permissions allow you to make it so that a user group can only see one other user group or two other user groups or a specific piece of library content. So if you haven't viewed the global permissions video already, it's probably worth viewing that before you view this one, because the permissions do intertwine. So as before, on the right hand side I'm logged in as an educator, and on the left hand side I'm logged in as an administrator, both on the same portal. If I come through to my user groups, my user is in the space educators group, so I'm going to click on that. We can see just quickly, if I come through, I don't have permissions for anything other than a piece of library content that I've created myself. So the educator on the right is the owner of this piece of content, which is why they can see it, and everything else is empty. So if I come down to here, you can see permissions, which is what we covered before, but underneath that you've got access. So this is setting specific access policies. So you come to your user groups and navigate to and add in the user group you want to be able to view it. So in this instance, I can't view any groups, but what we want to do is we want our space educators to be able to view the space 101 group. So we come into the space 101 group and we go to access, and you'll see in here we've got the same permissions as we did on the other group. So we can come in here and type in space educators. That will automatically save. If I refresh the screen on the right, you'll now see that I have permission to specifically just view this one user group, whereas on a global permissions level I would have been able to view all user groups. So this is where you can get very specific with things. So although I can view that group, I can't actually view any users, and the same applies below. So if I type in here space educators and give everything a refresh, you'll see that I can now view the users in that user group, but I still can't see any other user groups within the user groups page. So what you can do is I can come up here and I could choose the astronauts user group, and I could say, okay, my educator on the right hand side has got permissions to view this user group, but they don't have permissions to actually view the users. So if I now refresh this page on the right, so you'll see now I have the ability to view both. But before I click into the astronauts user group, we'll just go in space 101 and just make note of the users you can see here. Because I have the permission to view users in space 101, you can see there's 6 users in astronauts, and I can see 3 of them. The reason that I can see 3 of them here is because they're also present in another user group that I have the permissions to view. So I can't see the other users though. So there are 6 total users in astronauts, but I don't have the permission to view those because I don't have the view permissions on the left hand side. So hopefully that's making sense. It can get a little bit complex, so feel free to obviously go back and review this video again. Let's move on to library content then. So we've got a piece of content here that I actually created, but you can see there's a lot more content in this library. Now if I was to set the global permissions, I'd be able to see all of this content, but in actual fact I only want this educator to be able to see the thank you note. So if I click onto this note and I click onto access, very similar to what we did before, is we're just going to type in here educators, and we'll add that group there. And if we refresh this page on the right, so you can see I've given myself view permissions and the button is slightly different. So if I click on view, I can view the note. There's nothing else I can do with it. There's no options to edit or anything like that. If we just come out to the library and we'll add in space educators for the edit permission, I'll just give that a refresh. We can see the button has now changed and I have the edit permissions to edit this note. So you'll see I can edit things and I can save things, and there's no issues there. So as you can see, there's quite a lot that you can do with specific permissions, and it's very good at being very granular in what you allow users to do. So another few examples that clients are using at the moment is users that can schedule exams but they can't view any of the content. users that only have permission to create their own pieces of content, but then there are other groups that can view that content and do things with it. So it just takes the global permissions and really makes them a lot more granular and a lot more specific. And again, as before, if you have any questions about this, please do let us know, and we can give you an onboarding and walk you through how to use the specific permissions.